Welcome to NBA Countdown, presented by Mountain Dew.
We are back by the Bay for Game 5 tonight with Stephen A. Smith, Michael Wilbon, Jalen Rose. I am Mike Greenberg. It is a fascinating series. None of the games have been close, but the series couldn't be closer, and now it's a best 2 out of 3. And tonight's opening tip, it is all on the line in tonight's Game 5. The first 4 games, none of them really close. Each contest saw a team take a 20-point lead, and for 70% of the minutes in this series, the points differential in these games have been 10 or greater. But that is the past, and now we have a best of 3. The key note here, the winner of Game 5 in a best of 7 tied at 2 goes on to win 82% of the time, which is what I mean when I say everything is on the line tonight. And injuries will continue to play a huge role. We have already seen Robert Williams miss Game 3 for Boston. Tyler Hero and Marcus Smart miss Game 4 for their respective teams. And more players have been listed on the injury report throughout. So we bring Adrian Wojnarowski in here for the very latest, because injuries, it appears, are going to play another major role tonight. Woj, what is the latest?
Greeny, let's start with the Celtics. They're finally going to be whole in this series. Both Marcus Smart, Robert Williams in the lineup tonight. And Marcus Smart with that sprained ankle, he was out on the court pregame. He's got a brace on that ankle. I'm told he hasn't worn one since his days at Oklahoma State. But he's gotten close to the NBA Finals a few times in his Celtics career. Talked to somebody close to him, said he just was not going to sit out. Two wins away from the NBA Finals. He's back in the lineup for Boston. Robert Williams, who's had that nagging knee injury, that knee bruise, he stays in the lineup again for the Celtics. But Tyler Hero, he is out again for the Miami Heat with that groin injury. So Boston here trying to get the always important Game 5 win on the road to try to get this series back and close it out in Boston. They're going to have their starting lineup on the floor tonight.
All right, so certainly sounds like home court advantage tonight, Miami, health advantage to the Boston Celtics, and maybe that will contribute to finally a close game here. We'd like to see it. Through the first 4, there have been just a combined total of 4 lead changes, which is tied for the fewest through the first 4 games of a series over the last 25 years. Okay, so let's sit and talk. Stephen A., we've sort of tried to set the stage here. It's been a strange series, but we find ourselves tied as we begin Game 5. As far as you're concerned, where are we right now between the Celtics and the Heat?
Well, the reality, if we're being totally honest, we don't know. And the reason why we don't know is because we have to throw out that qualifier, meaning injuries. We don't like to do that. I know I don't. You make a prediction, damn it, you roll with it, and you see what happens. But in this case, hey, Tyler Hero's not playing. Okay, that's fine. But how healthy is Jimmy Butler? We don't know. Robert Williams, he's going to be in the lineup. How healthy is he? Marcus Smart's wearing a brace. How healthy is he? So you just don't know. In the end, what I will tell you, the fact that the Boston Celtics have all 5 starters, they're in a very, very good position, because there have been starters who have missed games for them. The fact that Tyler Hero is out and Jimmy Butler is hobbled, we don't know what on earth is going on with Miami. But they better win tonight, because if they don't, this series is over Friday night in Boston, period.
Miami's as willful a team as there is in professional basketball today. Starting from Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra, Jimmy Butler,
Heat culture,
Kyle Lowry. People talk about culture. It's the most overused word in sports. But now when it comes to this team, now when it comes to their will, but at what point, I mean, you know, I'm not hearing next man up when we get to this point. Because this is not a football locker room or even a baseball locker room. We're not talking about 20s and 40s of people. We're talking about a game where 2 or 3 people make an absolute difference. And, I mean, if you tell me that Bam can have a 35-point game and 18 rebounds and sort of but that's not what he does. He's had one great game in the series. He may have another one, and it may not be enough, depending on what we see from Jimmy Butler and Kyle Lowry, who's been hobbled. So Stephen A. has underscored it. There's no way to get away from that theme to start this game. Do the Miami Heat in particular have enough physically to extend this series?
They have enough to extend this series, but they don't have enough to win this series. I believe the culture you just described is actually why it's tied 2-2. They start in the Eastern Conference Finals, a backcourt that was undrafted. Max Strus had all zeros in 15 minutes last game, all zeros. And you talked about the injuries. Kyle missed games 1 and 2. Jimmy missed the second half of game 3. 3. Hero missed 4 and 5. And Bam missed all 3 games that Robert Williams been playing. Right? And so for the Miami Heat, I believe because of everything you said, in particular with Eric Spoelstra, is why I believe they'll find a way to still be competitive in today's game.
The one thing that we can't go unnoticed, you bring up the role players. Gabe Vincent, his first 2 games, he was shooting 50% from the field, hit 10 of his 20 shots. Since game 3, he's 3 for 14 going off the bench. So it's like you pulled him to the bench. You know, you outdueled yourself if you're Eric Spoelstra. Because if you're getting that level of production out of him, why switch? Why change the script? We got to think about things like that as this series unfolds, because little nuggets like that seem to have an impact in an injury-riddled series like this.
The name to remember tonight is Victor Oladipo. He was very good Monday night in a game in which his entire starting 5 did not show up. Let's see if he can back that up tonight. Meanwhile, it is time for tonight's three-point performance, which is brought to you by Mountain Dew. The Mavericks made 23s in their win against Golden State last night, forcing that series to a Game 5. Dallas has hit at least 23s in 4 games this postseason, which is the most by any team in a single playoff year in NBA history. And, of course, they've been led in so many ways by their superstar, Luka Doncic, who today was named to his 3rd first-team All-NBA in 4 seasons, joined by Giannis Antetokounmpo, who is voted unanimously for the 4th straight year. Jason Tatum, Devin Booker, and Nikola Jokic round out the first-team spots, which means Joel Embiid dropped to 2nd-team All-NBA despite finishing 2nd for MVP and winning the scoring title.
That's wrong.
There was a strange way that you could vote. All of us are voters, and I know that I voted for Joel Embiid on the first team because they allowed us to do so and put 2 centers on there if we wished. I understand why people chose not to do it. There was a good argument to be made either way. My thinking was Embiid deserved, he had a season that was worthy of being first team All-NBA. But Stephen A., I have a feeling that is not what is on your mind.
Not at all. I got to tell you this. Mike Wilbon would appreciate this. The bottom line is they were the top 2 candidates for league MVP honors. So why is one on the second team? I don't care that they play the same position. The reality is they allowed us to vote and put 2 centers on the first team if we so chose to do so. And so to me, the second they gave you that latitude, how do you leave Joel Embiid off the first team, considering the kind of year he had, and he was a top 2 finalist for league MVP honors? That makes no sense whatsoever, but why are we surprised?
So Stephen A., first of all, I agree with you. I voted for Joel Embiid and Joker and Giannis on my first team. And I understand and Jalen has a perfectly reasonable argument on why his ballot looked different. But let me just say this. We talk about it all the time. Positionless basketball, this is not invented. That phrase wasn't invented in the last 3 weeks. We've been talking about this for 5 years. So the league, and yes, I'm going to be critical of the NBA, the league needs to take position out of this. Don't make us slavishly devoted to something that your game no longer finds important.
Right.
So you should be able to vote for your top 5 people on that first team,
top 15
and then it shakes
overall.
out wherever it shakes out. Top 15, exactly.
Well, I need to fall on the sword because I'm the lone person that voted Kyrie over in 3rd team All-NBA.
What?
Yeah, I'm the lone person to do that. Now, I get mesmerized by his talent, but it was a mistake to put him on 3rd team. And I'm glad that didn't cost Trae Young his spot, who deserved it more. So I'm going to own that. As it relates to the Embiid part, Stephen A., I put Embiid on 2nd team because of what you said. When you have a center that's going to win MVP, he's on the first team. For me to balance off the teams, I kept it at center. I'm the person, by the way, that said 10 years ago that positions were created so a novice can follow the game. But I own that.
I appreciate the ownership. Forget Embiid. Forget everything that I say. It's absolutely true.
I know you would love to hear that.
I want you to explain what in God's name made you think at any point that Kyrie Irving, who played 29 games this year, missed 53 games. How in God's name is he a 3rd team or NBA? On any day, any hour, any minute of this season? How?
First off, I don't think you heard the part about I said that was a mistake. That was a bad decision.
I asked how you make the bad decision.
Let me tell you how I made that. Because in my mind, this was a unique season, Greeny. And based on that unique season, when Kyrie Irving decided to play for whatever reason, he was as dominant as any player in the league, and he was one of the top 15 performers when he was in uniform.
Let me stop right there. I got him, y'all. See, Jalen, you're not getting away with this. And let me tell you why you're not getting away with it. First of all, nobody's ever questioned the greatness of Kyrie Irving as a talent. We know he's box office. He's that spectacular. Not only me, you were on the record stating his lack of availability, his unwillingness to get vaccinated, to be held out because of the New York mandate, disqualified him from everything. And then behind our back, like a thief in the night, you slid in this vote for him.
Hey,
for him, he don't even get to be all NBA G League after the way he disappeared for the whole daggone season.
That's fair.
You
That's
got
fair.
to be crazy.
That's fair. That's fair. I own it.
There are people. There are people sitting near us. There are people sitting near us who are not watching television who can hear Stephen A. They're all laughing. Here.
I own it, big bro. I own it.
Jalen Rose. He owns
Yes,
it.
sir.
Fair enough. Okay.
I forgive him. I forgive him,
We're
y'all.
counting it down to Game 5 here. Al Horford has played an enormously important role. He and